Welcome to the pre-arrival series for incoming students for fall 2026 to the University of Arkansas. We are very excited that you're coming. We're very excited to help you prepare to come. This is the fourth session, and so this is really going to be focusing on arriving and getting settled in Fayetteville. And so we are going to have two presenters today. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to our first presenter, Sloan Jeffrey.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to, as Kirsten said, the fourth pre-arrival session. And today we're going to talk all about that exact moment of arrival. So a little bit of assistance with some of the stuff that we do to help you guys arrive safely. So that'll be a little bit about what today is. And if you've attended the last couple, we are, again, part of the ISS office. So our office helps you guys with any sort of questions you have about compliance and also to help y'all with arrival. So I'm Sloan. I'm the Graduate Assistant Welcome and Belonging, and I'm going to talk starting today with the arrival resources that we have. We did mention this last week, but I do think it does bear mentioning again. When you're arriving, make sure that you use the Fayetteville airport code to book your tickets, because there is also a Fayetteville, North Carolina. And unfortunately, if you fly to North Carolina, there's not a lot that we can do to help you from Arkansas. So make sure you're using the XNA airport code, and that will get you to Fayetteville, Arkansas. A couple of the arrival resources that we have is the arrival guide. So that has a bunch of great just sort of information and stuff like that in it that you can reference back to. It's a little bit more robust than any of these pre-arrival sessions. And when we send out the slides to this show, to this session, you will get links to everything there. So these are all live links that you can take a look at. We also have a WhatsApp group to help you get connected with some of the other incoming students. And we'll share that link at the end of the session as well. And it's a great place for you to kind of get to know your peers. And then we also have our cross-cultural mentor team in that chat. So that is a group of students who are already attending the University of Arkansas, and they are there to answer any questions that you have about, Fayetteville culture, classrooms culture in the US, et cetera, et cetera. When you arrive, you're also going to need a place to stay. So we have the Experience Fayetteville link to sort of some recommendations that they have in terms of places to stay. They are not affiliated with the university at all, but they will give you a great starting point to kind of figure out places to stay if you need just a sort of short-term accommodation before you're waiting for a lease to start. And then, of course, our biggest way that we try to support you guys is a free shuttle service for all incoming international students. You get it free for your first time when you come to the University of Arkansas. If you do have any guests, please make sure, or please be aware that you would have to pay extra for them. I'm not totally sure what that charge is, but there is a fee for any guests that you have. However, you can bring as much luggage as you want. And if your guest is also a student at the university, then they would not have to pay, as long as it's also their first time coming to the university. So I'll talk a little bit about how to do that reservation on this slide. So this is the arrival form, and you can access it through your application portal. You'll see it. I believe there's a checklist item in your application that says ISS arrival form or international arrival form, something like that. Please make sure that you fill that out, even if you don't need our shuttle service. There is a button very early on in the form that says, no, I do not need the shuttle service. So please fill it out, because we use all that data that we collect, which is like the day that you're intending to arrive, et cetera, for a lot of other things as well. So please, please, please make sure that you fill out that arrival form, even if you don't need the shuttle. And if you decide that you need the shuttle now after you've made your arrival plans, and then later find out that you don't need it, that's okay. You can always update that form. We get the most recent update of that form. So if any arrival plans change, a flight gets canceled, you have to move it around, et cetera, that's totally okay. Just update that arrival form, and that will help us either manage your shuttle booking, or it will help us with all of our sort of arrival data and arrival sort of information, because we do a lot of programming and stuff based on the information that you guys give us in this form. If you do need the shuttle, please, please, please make sure that you're putting in a complete address. So if you are staying at an apartment, that will include the apartment number. There's an example of it on screen here. So apartment number, and if you're staying at a hotel room, we don't need your hotel room number, but just make sure that you put in the full street address of the hotel, not just like Super 8 Hotel or whatever it is, so that we can correctly help with your shuttle booking. So that is the arrival form. And as I said, I will say this so many times, please make sure that you fill that out, even if you don't need the shuttle service. We do use that data for other purposes as well. I did mention this, or we did mention this last week as well, but just a quick little reminder of when to plan to arrive. If you're a graduate student, we highly recommend that you plan to arrive by August 6th to attend grad welcome day on August 7th, and then you'll have the whole next week to do any other preparation stuff that you need to do as a student. If your department or anything like that has events planned, perhaps try to arrive a little bit before the 6th so you still have time to do immigration basics, which is a mandatory session that you must attend. For undergrad students, we highly recommend at least by August 11th to attend welcome day on August 12th. Welcome day is also advising day, so if you want to get advised and get registered for classes on August 12th, plan to arrive a little bit earlier so that you can do immigration basics before that, because you will not be able to register for classes until you do immigration basics. So that is that. These are the bare minimum dates that we recommend for y'all to arrive, but we do have immigration basics starting as early as August 3rd or 4th, whichever the Monday is. I don't remember off the top of my head. So there is lots of time for you to get that done before welcome day. Talk a little bit about transportation. So you've arrived in Fayetteville now. We've picked you up from the airport with the shuttle service that we have partnership with. And now you are trying to get around Fayetteville once you arrived. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the options that are available to you. The first one is the public transit system, which is free to everyone in Fayetteville, the Razorback Transit System. It is a collaboration between the city and the university itself. So not just students, but anyone in Fayetteville. So if you have family visiting ever, all the buses are free within Fayetteville. That's the Razorback Transit System. There is an app, or you can go to their website, which is just uark.passiogo.com. I think something like that. If you Google UARK Passio Go, it'll pop right up for you. So that'll have the most accurate bus information. And I just want to mention a couple of regular interruptions that happen to the schedule. So the first one is that buses do not run on Sundays, full stop. I've heard a rumor that that might be in flux, but for the time being, buses do not run on Sundays. And then some other interruptions that might happen are anytime that there's a home football game, the bus system is also not running, which can be a little bit inconvenient, but just so you're aware, if there's a home football game, you can always check the Passio Go app. It always tells you when there are interruptions like that, including the football games and stuff like that. But it doesn't tell you like every Sunday that it's not running, because that's just kind of standard. And then anytime that there's closures at the university, so over winter break, there is sometimes interruptions as well to that, or if there's weather, anything like that. Again, that's all housed within the app. There's weird construction, the traffic collision, anything like that, all within the app, and it'll keep you updated there. I do recommend using that with Google Maps, because the app, if you have to like walk from a bus stop to a location, the app will just say you can't get there on transit. So I tend to use both, where I use Google Maps to kind of tell me the route, and then I use the Passio Go app to tell me when the bus is actually coming. Some of the other ways that you can get around Fayetteville is there's a really robust trail system. There's over 100 miles of trails connecting Fayetteville to the whole of Northwest Arkansas. And it is amazing, actually. I live right on the trail system, and it's a beautiful system. I use it to, anytime that I bike to campus, I use the trail kind of the whole way, and they're constantly adding more parts to it to connect Fayetteville, just a little bit better, not only to itself, but again, to the greater Northwest Arkansas community. And one of the really exciting things that we have that just started is the Office of Sustainability has a bicycle library. So you pay just a very small fee per semester to rent a bike from them. There's a link in this slide that you can kind of read through all of that sort of information and sort of their rules and stuff like that. You do have to come in and take your bike in for like a checkup every semester, or you do get charged a fee, but it's basically just like, oh, you haven't broken anything on your bike. And they help you with any repairs that you might need, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a really good way to kind of just see Fayetteville a little bit differently. And this is an incredibly bicycle friendly community. So there is, again, like those trail systems and so many other ways that you can use a bike to get around. They also host on I believe it's the first Wednesday of every month. There's a ride to campus sort of breakfast event that the Office of Sustainability puts on. So that is something you can look forward to. There's also a link to the interactive trail map on there. So that shows you sidewalks, anywhere that there's sort of bike lanes, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little bit more robust than just looking up the map of the Razorback Greenway. Highly recommend checking that out. I use it myself to look at just where sidewalks are because there's weirdly not sidewalks everywhere. But that's another way you can get around. If you do end up getting a vehicle at any point, parking services is you're going to have to kind of deal with them a little bit. Unfortunately, a lot of the parking available to students is still quite far away from campus, and you don't necessarily get a reserved spot or anything like that. So you kind of have to wander around a little bit in those parking lots. Many students, though, will sort of park and ride to campus. So park a little bit off campus near a bus route and then ride the bus onto campus. I know so many people who do that. Just when you're doing that, be aware that you're not if you're going to be on campus all day, be aware that you're not, especially in the city of Fayetteville, you're not parking somewhere that you're not allowed to be for an extended period of time. That is, I think, everything that I have to talk about in terms of transportation. I'm going to pass it over to Emily with some of the stuff that you'll need to know for once you actually arrive in Fayetteville.
Okay, good morning. Like Sloan said, my name is Emily. I'm the office manager. If you ever email iss@uark.edu, that's usually me that you're speaking to, or if you call our front desk, that's also me usually that's answering the phones. So yeah, a couple of things I wanted to touch on when you first arrive. First would be banking and opening a bank account. We have two banks that are walkable from campus, so it's pretty common for students to use those. First Security Bank is actually on the same street that our office is located. And then Chase Bank is another one that's also close by. And so they're both pretty used to working with international students. So you shouldn't have any issues opening an account there. You don't need a social security number to open an account either. And so just based on your own research and maybe where you live in proximity to where you're at, you could use either one of those or really any bank based on your preference and what you're looking for. Then for phone plans, you can keep using WhatsApp on Wi-Fi or Facebook Messenger, anything like that. But if you're wanting to get a phone plan, Mint Mobile, we have SIM cards for free given to us by Mint Mobile, and there's 1 month that's prepaid already. It's 5 gigs of data, and so that can kind of get you started with something. Otherwise, they also have contracts. So they have a 3 month, a 6 month, or a 12 month. And so if you only want to start with just a little bit of data, see how that goes and change contracts later, that's a good option. You do have to pay up front. So that's sort of the downside of something like Mint Mobile, that's paying the whole contract up front, but then you can also choose the length of time that you have instead of a lot of other phone providers that don't necessarily have it parceled out into 3 or 6 months. It's usually a longer contract. Other phone plans would be AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. Those are the major phone providers in the US, and they usually have the best coverage. So if you really want to have the most reliable network, those are typically the three that are the biggest, maybe less affordable compared to something like Mint Mobile, but they have good coverage throughout the US. If we can go to the next slide. All right, so getting your IDs, the first would be your student ID. that is located in the student union. So once you get here and get familiarized with campus, the union will be one of the main places that you go for a lot of different things, and the card office is one of those places as well. You will need to be enrolled in classes in order to get your student ID. So that means that you will need to have gone through immigration basics first to get your hold lifted in order to enroll in classes, and then that next step can be getting your student ID. You'll also need to bring your government ID, so a passport works perfect for that. They just need a form of identification, but the ID card should be free as long as you don't lose it. If you lose it, I believe there is a charge, but that initial ID card should not cost anything. Then, if you're interested in getting a state ID, we do have the DMV, which is where you get issued your state ID. It's not necessary for you to have one, but if you'd like to have one, they can do that for you. It is on a few bus routes, bus route 44, 45, and 46, and it will take you there. You're welcome to schedule an appointment in advance, or you can just walk in. Although you don't know necessarily how long you might wait. So it's always a good idea to book in advance if possible. But those cost $5 and it's good for 4 years. And then lastly, your social security number. So that is going to be something you need if you have a job. So if you are a GA, for example, you're working as a teaching assistant, a research assistant, something like that, then you will need a social security number. And that is something that I can talk to you more about once you arrive. It's not something that you need immediately upon arrival. You can start working and be paid for up to 90 days after your employment start date. So it's something that can happen once you get settled in. You don't need to worry about it, but you will need to be in the US for at least 11 days and enrolled in courses before you can go to the Social Security office. They need to see that you're enrolled and then also have your information, have time for that to transfer into their system so that they see you in their system there. But that's something that I have a video on our YouTube page as well about how to get your social security number for more information on that. And then also once you arrive, we have handouts and I can talk to you more about that. So next slide. All right, so immunizations. You are required to have a TB test and 2 doses of the MMR. Those will be able to be scheduled August 31st through September 18th. So that will be after classes have started. The first opportunity to book something will be August 1st, but before that, you won't be able to do your immunization yet. So you'll be automatically enrolled in the student insurance. There is an opportunity to request a waiver if you have insurance through another provider, but you will need to work with the insurance representative, Bo Holt, and she'll actually come in and talk to you guys during Immigration Basics all about your insurance, what it covers, what you can expect. And so if you have questions about your vaccinations and what all goes into your insurance plan, she's going to be your contact and she'll go into greater depth on all of that stuff. And then I put the link down in the slide as well of where you can submit your vaccinations, forms.uark.edu/immunizations. I'll also add a link in with the video of how you can upload immunizations in greater detail. There's a step-by-step handout that we have on that. But if it all feels confusing right now with immunization stuff, don't fret. We'll go over that more also once you arrive. So this is just giving you some heads up as what's to come. Okay, and then some stores nearby. First and foremost, Walmart is super common here because we have the home office for Walmart just up the road in Bentonville. So Walmart is a store that has not only groceries, but it's got clothes, it's got electronics, toys, pretty much anything you could need, outdoor supplies, mechanical tools. And there's Walmart's sort of scattered throughout Fayetteville. And so that's the main, most popular store for groceries and also just any other necessity that you have. Aldi is also another store that's very popular for groceries. This one is accessible by the UARC bus transit as well as the Walmart. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well once you arrive. And then we also have an international grocery store that's pretty close by that has East and Central Asian foods. So if you are from that area of the world or you really enjoy food from that part of the world, then we have a store that has those sort of international foods. We do provide some trips to Walmart and going to the thrift stores, so some secondhand stores when you get here during the week before school starts. So if you don't want to venture out on your own to those places yet, or you'd like some help for that first trip, then we have volunteers who will drive you there, allow you to get your groceries, and drop you back off right at your door so you don't need to navigate transportation or anything like that. Lastly, I wanted to point out the secondhand stores. It's pretty common in the US to buy secondhand, gently used items. And so, if you're needing to furnish an apartment or you're needing additional clothes that you weren't able to pack, maybe, or the weather's just different here, I've listed below 4 or 3 places that are common. Goodwill is accessible by the bus route. Then there's also Peace at Home, which is walkable from campus on our same street that our office is on, actually, and then Salvation Army. So just know that there's also places where you can buy items secondhand. You don't have to buy everything brand new, and you can still get some pretty good quality items, even if it's not, even if you're not the first person to own that item. Okay, I think that's all my section, so I'll pass it back off to Sloan.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much, Emily. Just one quick thing, and then we can jump into questions. I see a couple of them coming up in the chat and whatnot. I just want to give everyone a little bit of a heads up of the sort of cultural adjustment bell curve that you may experience in some way. Most people experience it. Even individuals who are from the US experience this when they're moving to a new place or they're going to college for the first time. I know that I've experienced it definitely more than once in just a various different sort of experiences that I've had. So just kind of giving you a heads up of something that you may experience. And I think the biggest thing to remember about this is that this isn't a one-time thing. And also the weirdest part about it is sometimes it happens when you're going back to your home culture as well, is like, oh, you're really excited to begin with that honeymoon phase. And then you kind of start realizing where all the differences are, and you get really homesick, and you hit this kind of culture shock right at the bottom. And then you kind of start like adjusting and becoming this amalgamation of your home culture and also of the culture that you're now living in. You have that adjustment period, and then you have that assimilation period. As I said, this is not a one and done. There isn't like a hard timeline on this. Some people experience it way more than other individuals. And sometimes it's just like a little bit of a dip. And having like a good community around you is a really good way to kind of help you through those sort of dips in that culture shock. It can really come up a lot around holidays for folks. I know that I feel it a lot kind of around winter time because I'm Canadian. And so the winter is always a little bit like, oh, I'm a little bit homesick around that time. So just kind of keeping you up there. There are lots of resources that we have. And next week, we're going to be talking with the engagement team for ways that you can actually talk about your home culture a lot as well. And then I have one reminder, which is when you get your UARC email address, make sure that you log into Workday and complete your onboarding tasks. If you have any questions about that, you can email the email right there. So you should be able to find those in the My Tasks when you log into Workday. And you can also see more Workday student resources right there. So once you get your I-20, about 4 business days after that, you should get your UARC email address, and then you'll be able to log into Workday, and the onboarding tasks you can do at any point before your arrival. So try to get those done because they will prevent you from registering for classes. So if you get them done early, then that's one less step you got to do when you're here. The last thing that we have before we get into questions is our new WhatsApp group. So I believe someone will put that link into the chat. So you can either join it from the chat or you can scan the QR code. Of course, this will also be in the slides that we share with y'all afterwards. So you can always join that later. That is everything from us. I believe it is Q&A time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sloan and Emily. Yeah, we'll be moving into our question time. There are a couple questions in the chat, but if you have more, you can also unmute yourself and ask, or you can put them in the chat. One of the questions we have was just about enrollment from Aisha, and just to say that enrollment will not be able to take place until after you're physically in the United States and gone through the mandatory immigration basics session. This is a hold on your account that can't be removed until you come to the United States and participate in that session. And then after that, you'll be able to enroll in August. There's also a question about GA salaries, which unfortunately none of us on the call have the information to really know that answer. So we'll kind of table that for a second. Does anybody have any questions specifically for Sloan or Emily based on what they've shared? And I'm going to talk a little bit about English proficiency question in the chat. We have a question about if you're not available to come to Graduate Welcome Day on August 7th.
I can speak on that. Graduate Welcome Day is not a mandatory session, so if your travel plans don't allow for that, that is okay. If you do have any flexibility in your travel plans, we highly, highly recommend it because Graduate Welcome Day, we kind of see it as, and it says Welcome Day, it's actually a half day, it's a morning, but we see it as a way for you to kind of get settled on campus. So we have a lot of really good information and important speakers who are coming to discuss lots of things that you need to know about just sort of being on campus. We talk a little bit about like cultural shifts that you may not have experienced coming to a American sort of classroom setting and stuff like that. But it is not a mandatory session. So if your travel plans don't allow for it, that is okay. You won't be penalized or anything. But if you do have any flexibility, we highly recommend it. There is also a general graduate, not just international graduate, so that's the one that's on the 7th, but a graduate welcome day on August 10th. That's the following Monday. And so if you're able to attend that as well, we highly recommend it.